Have you ever played 5 chess masters in one day? Well, today I had that exact honour. In Trafalgar Square, Sunday the 7th of July 2024 is ChessFest. This happens once a year. I went straight to the main section, in my opinion, that is the Challenge the Masters section. You get in line, you play blitz with them. They get 5 minutes, you get 3 minutes. And then, once the game is over, you can go round to look at the other events, or you just get back in the queue and then you can challenge another master. Of course, that is what I did throughout the day. So we will take it from the top. 5 chess masters in one day. Here we go. So the first master I played against, here, e4, c6, c4, d5. We have the Caro-Kann defense, and now instead of grabbing straight away, I chose knight f6. This option is also possible. After knight c3, you can just tuck the queen back. It's just a totally different way to play. The queen sits pretty well there. Now back to the game, I just went knight f6. Now one critical way to play is bishop b5 check, and then you can block with the knight. However, my opponent played knight to c3 and after take d4. So we get a normal kind of position where white has an isolated pawn in the center, but I've got a blockade. I am setting up this kind of blockade, and now this bishop tends to be the problem piece in lots of these kind of positions, so I went pawn to b6. Bishop will come out very soon, stopping any knight coming there. Pawn to a3, bishop b7, and now aiming for an attack, which is what tends to happen in these kind of structures when white has the isolated pawn. That just means the pawn that's all alone in the center. You need to play you need to use your central space and then start some kingside attack. Rook c8, normal move. Now, in the previous, I think in this move, I could have had the chance to just mix up the pawn structure. Looking back, this is exactly what I should have gone for, because this pawn on c3 is now a bit weak. If they go c4 now, I've got 2 different ideas. Bishop f6, attack d4, or you can see with the blue arrow, knight to a5. Let's go back a few moves. Now, in this position, rook c8 played, knight e4, coming round to the king side, but I did not play h6. Knight g5, it looks quite dangerous, and here I was thinking of 2 options. I could actually have played h6, and after knight here, rook goes to d8. But in the game, I went knight to f6. So please remember, 5 minutes for my opponent, who's a master, and then 3 minutes for me in this game. Bishop e3, rook d8. Now, you can imagine, in this moment, I'm running out of time, because I'm also recording the game, by the way. I've got score sheets to prove. If I can take a picture later, I will, and then I'll just show it on the screen right now. But I'm recording at the same time, not using my phone, but writing it down. So I've got to write fast, and I'm playing all these top players. What a fantastic experience to play. 5 masters in one day. So in this moment, I actually forgot the rest of the game. Hey, but the game's just begun. The important thing is, just because you can't record the game doesn't mean it's still not useful. If I go to the next position, I remember this is actually what happened 5 moves later. So let's have a quick discussion. So many pieces on the board. You can see I played h6, the knight has dropped back to h3, and now let's just look at who's better and why. I've done a good job to blockade their central pawn. The bishops are okay. I think my bishops are more aggressive. The knight is not actually on the best square. It can't actually come back to f4 because of my strong knight. This knight is very strong, attacking d4. Queen and rook are attacking d4 as well, once that knight moves out of the way, and then the rook controls the file. Now, pawns, we both have 6 each. So overall, I think black's position is a bit better. If I turn on the engine, it says minus 1.7. I might show that graphic across the screen. So in this moment, I think we both have 2 minutes each. Well, I think they have 2 minutes. I have 1 minute because I was recording. Knight to f4, offering a trade. Now, why did I trade off for this knight? Because now my queen just comes in, and then if we now compare the pieces, queen is more active, rook is still more active, my bishops are attacking, her bishops are defending, and my opponent now blunders with g3, but it's looking really bad anyway, because after g3 I win the knight, and then I win the game later on. In this moment, there was one other try, because can you see my queen is stronger? So one option is queen d2, offering a trade, and after take, if you take with the knight, then I can come in on d4. If you take with the rook, now I double the pawns. If you take back, then I now get the central pawn, which was really the whole target for white's position. So that's how I can cash in. If bishop takes, there's one important move. You can take this way. So you take my knight, I take their knight, they take, and now we have this position where it's just really difficult to move. You can see I can place my rooks on these two squares. That pawn can't move. I can slowly try and round that pawn up. This is a fantastic position. And then in the game, what happened? I won the knight, and then later, bishop comes in, hits my rook. I just go there, knight c4, attacking both, take, and then later I won. I think we both had 30 seconds each. So that is my first master opponent. Next one. This time I played international master Tom Rendle, and this time I had the white pieces. Very kindly, I brought in my clock and offered 5 + 3, so that means 5 minutes per side and a 3 seconds increment. But we have to keep the queue running, so this is me queuing back up for round 2. But then he gets, I think he started with 2 minutes. 3 seconds. I started with 5 minutes, 3 seconds. So he's also got a time deficit. Here we go. The Dutch. So Tom plays the Dutch. So I decided to try this b4 line against him. Why not? I saw Peter Svidler try this in a Chess24 Banter Blitz. Might as well use it now. There are a few ways to react. You can challenge the structure straight away. You can get space in the center. Now Tom plays this move. And then now I just defend. Oops, if I can draw arrows today. Knight to c6, attacks both, and one interesting response is this. I think the engine is suggesting this because the pawn can't go to c5. That's why. Pawn to b4 to get space on the queen side, knight c6 challenging the structure. So one option is to play pawn to c3 because it's actually okay to change my mind. I kind of wanted the bishop here, but now the knight is on c6. If I go pawn to c3, the bishop has another route out. It might go to f4, something like this. However, I just played a normal move a3 because I want to go c4 later. He gets space in the center. Now I go knight d2 first. I think that's quite important because I want to get c4 in. Knight e4 played, and now bishop b2. Don't really want the knight to come into c3. King h8 played. One option is for Tom to challenge the structure, which I didn't even consider. And after b5, knight a7 hit the pawn, now you challenge again. Can't go here because the queen is there. It's really like black is just slowly breaking open the white queen side, and then I think black is fine in this type of position. If we go back a few moves, that's not what happened. Black went king h8, normal Dutch move because the bishop might actually get there in a few moves, which is exactly what happens. c4 getting space, so I feel quite confident with this position. I am plus 0.9 at the moment, but really I think I'm slightly better. I've got a lot of space in the center. Knight takes d2 played, and now queen takes. So I just calculated this a bit. Black cannot take because now d5 is very strong. This is actually what I was working out. If here I was just planning to trade normally. Take, and then check. And then pick up the pawn, and then I'm much better. You can see all of black's pieces. They're just on the back. So that's why black did not take here. Knight d2, queen d2, bishop e6. Now rook d1, same thing, can't take because push is just so strong. Now in this kind of position, I actually completely missed this option, b5. It didn't even register to me on the real day. Forcing the knight back, and now I can play with a lot of pressure. Knight g5, hit the bishop, it drops that. Back, and now take, and then rook c1. This is looking pretty good. Now in the game I just played the normal rook d1, bishop g8, knight e5, because I feel like if I trade well in the center, I'm just continuing to have my space advantage. I'm still missing this move b5, which yeah, it didn't even occur to me on the real day. Now anyway, knight in the center, queen d6, and lots of trade happens, which work out for me. In this moment, I actually stopped recording, as you can see from my score sheet, which will flash on the image right now. Lots of trade now happens. Take, hit the queen first. It moves because it has to defend the c7 pawn. It goes to d6, and now I go d5. Why? Because his bishop is better than mine. So really, in this type of position, I offer a trade, and then we get this situation where I'm just a little bit better. Put pressure on the c7 pawn. He defends it. Now I offer a queen trade. I don't mind because after take, my rooks are more active. He goes a6, fair enough. And then now later I actually retreat the queen back. So this is the moment where I stop recording, but doesn't mean there's no value. It doesn't mean there's no value because I remember the critical moment coming up. Later my queen got trapped on here and then I brought it back. So just want to show you the final moments of the game because that's all I can remember. The queen goes here, then he got his rook in this way. Very annoying, and I think I'm just much worse here. I'm much worse in this type of position. So, because my queen is offside. And then later, luckily, I got my queen out. I think he won my central pawn. My white pawn has now disappeared, but now I play a good move. The queen went back to check. He missed that move based on his reaction. The king was there. And then now, after the check, he has to go to h7. Or else he loses the rook. So king h7, and now I play a good move, queen to e5, and now there is pressure. So if it's my move again, I probably win. Queen takes e5 check, and I'm winning, but his queen is so active. This is so important in this kind of position. The rook is not allowed on the h file. So in this position, he had to force a perpetual, so fantastic result for me. It's really cool on ChessFest, because if you get a draw or win against one of these master opponents, you get a prize. So I got a nice magnetic set and one of the issues of the chess magazine, so that's a pretty cool gift. I didn't really expect to get a present, but that was cool. So that's a draw so far, 1.5 out of 2 against the masters. Now my next 3 games, oh dear, but I did learn a lot playing all of them. So let's keep going. Next opponent here. This time I did not use increment. I felt the queue was getting a bit long, so I thought if I go increment, maybe other people don't have a chance. Of course, I prefer increment because I'm recording. I'm writing these moves down. That's why I can present it in this video. So we have a Caro-Kann here against another IM opponent. F3, so the fantasy variation. Now, in this kind of position, one critical way to play is this. E5. Now I don't know this fully, so I'll have to look at that. So not only I play against these masters, but I have to set my own homework. That's actually a skill you need. E6 was played, I go into a French. Another line is queen b6, early queen move suggested by the engine just to put pressure on d4 and b2. It's like you can't get this bishop out early. It might go here or here, which it did in the game. My opponent completely crushed me in this game. It was amazing, but also it was very powerful, very high initiative play. You'll see very soon. So I'm happy to go into a French structure. I expected this. E5 and then F4, C5. We get a classical French. That's totally fine. Now after bishop G5, one option was now queen B6, which I didn't even consider, hitting both. Now there's a really cool opening trap. You can play this little pawn move. If queen B2, then knight A4 traps the queen. So A3 is possible, and then here, after A3, maybe knight D7. Let's have a look. Knight D7, play A6. Okay, A6, just keeping an eye. You see, you can't go queen B2 yet because you can actually take. You can actually take, and now the queen actually has time to retreat. Ah, I see, that's the difference. Like A6 is a waiting move, but it's also a little useful move. If knight A4 now you attack both, well, now you have a chance to slide it back. And the knight is a bit offside. Never be worried about this because bishop can always go out to h6. There's a pawn on f3. Really, a knight should be there. So already this kind of position looks good. You're never going to take because now you have a fantastic position. Bishop can still come out. So that's one important point for me. Let's go back a bit. Let me change hands now. My hand is getting tired. Okay, left hand holding the microphone. Bishop g5, bishop e7. Later here in this moment I might look at this. Not only is this a video to make it useful for the viewer, but this is also a diary. I give myself a chance to look back a year from now the games I played against these masters. So knight to c3, knight f6, bishop g5, unpin queen d2, and now one option suggested by Stockfish is to change the structure, which is such a difficult kind of move to make. You know it's difficult because my first move was c6 in the Caro-Kann. Now I change the structure and go c5. Now it's a Sicilian, which I tend to play anyway. So that is one way to handle this position. Change the structure, blow open. All right, let's go back a few moves. Same thing here, queen b6. All right, let's look at the game. b5, very important, need to get play. e5, good move, and now h4, fantastic move. No way will I take because then the h file is open. for business. Now a6 is possible, and then I want to go c5. One faster option, you could say, is pawn to b4 after knight a4, then I castle. I want to get c5 in straight away. So if they take and go f4, which is what Gavin Ward did in the game later, I can go c5. Just want to show you this cool tactic, take. Can't go queen b4. Can't go queen b4 because knight d3 check, and I win the queen. So nice tactical moment where I can get c5 in if I go queen e7 then c5. Let's go back a few moves. So all these tactics got to keep in mind when playing, well, any position. So in the game I played a slow move, pawn to a6, take, f4, really big position. I don't really love my position, but anyway, c5, break open the center, knight c6. I have to play h6 because later he completely crushed me. That pawn was weak the whole game, and then he got his knights in, which you'll see very soon. It was very impressive the way he played. Knight b6, poor move because now h6, no way will I take because the rook is in the game. You have to block with g6. Now he plays another fantastic move, forcing a trade. I went c4. One option is take. But then after this, I didn't really love this. This is awful, guys. This is awful. Nowhere am I going to put the knight in and then take this way because the knight comes in. So I have to play this tragic looking move, but then this bishop is awful. It is awful. After castle, this bishop can't get in the game. So let's go back a few moves. That is unacceptable. So I wasn't too sure what to do. I can just castle. That's the funny thing. This is completely blocked in, as you can see with all these circles. Totally blocked in. But after queen f2, I went c4. It looks quite impressive, gigantic pawn structure, but so what? You need to get the pawns rolling. He played a brilliant move, knight d1, going for this incredible journey, which I completely and utterly overlooked. That's what I'm talking about. The way he's playing this is really impressive, and after knight e3, now I actually see the journey. I should have seen it the previous move. Now I slide the queen over because I don't want to allow knight f6, because now knight f6 is so dangerous, so I retreat. So in this game, really, I'm just trying to create play on the queen side of the board, on the right side, and then my knights are just dancing, just going to different squares, trying to counteract his plans. It's not really the best. Now, rook d1, we keep going. So, remember, he started the game with 3 minutes. I started with 5 minutes. I'm still recording. And I think I stopped pretty soon. I have to stop because look at the way he's just getting his knights in. I feel like I'm getting completely outplayed. And then now I think he blows open the center, something like this. Now I forget the rest of the game, but I remember the key moment. This is something that happened later. And now I get crushed. Queen slides over. My king never castle. Queen g7 is strong. You can see the blue arrow. That is... So the green arrow is plan number 1, get the queen in. Plan number 2, just pawn break through the center. And now I'm absolutely crushed. Just want to show you the final moment because there's still value even if I can't remember the whole game. I can remember a key position. And that's the cool thing. You study that middle game position. Check. I'm getting crushed. My king doesn't have a good square here. He sets up mate, and then I just set up one final trap, which is queen h4. You can't go rook here because queen takes. Didn't matter really. I think I had 5 seconds here. He had 1 minute, so I was going to lose on time anyway. But he saw it. Queen h4, setting up a trap. It looks like I have perpetual, but not really. Not really. Check. The rook can slide over anyway. There's no perpetual. He went queen e2, and then I lost on time. Game over anyway. Really powerful game from him. Next, master opponent. So I just get back in line. I played David McCoy, a candidate master recently. Here we go. So I have the black pieces again. So once again, it is 5 minutes for me, 3 minutes for him. This time we have the advanced Caro, and now h4. You have to play h5 here or else you trap your bishop. Just want to show you guys an opening trap which lots of people have fallen for. Your bishop is actually completely trapped. There is no good square. So that's why one of the best ways to play against this critical line, h4, is you go h5 yourself. A bishop trade is offered, and now take, and then e6. Yes, one option is after this. Later I can go queen a5 check and queen b5 or queen a6, which is what I can do in the game. However, David totally changed the structure with c4. I've never seen this early move before because after take, I thought I was I had a good position as long as I don't allow knight c3, knight e4. You remember in the previous game against Gavin Ward, that crushed me. So here, I think it's very important I offer a queen trade. Now, you can't go back to f1 because you lose your d4 pawn, so I think he has to take. And now I'm totally fine in this endgame, but the game has really just begun. Knight's out. Here, very important moment for me. I need to pin. He can actually do this. My plan was to go like this, and then we get something very similar to the game. So I won't mention it here. Bishop e3. There's a chance for me to double those to weaken his structure, which I take now. Take, take. And now this position looks quite nice for me. But hey, I mess up. I mess up big time. He's mentioning just put the knight on f5, rook here, king here. Don't allow c4, which is coming up very soon. That's my big mistake against him. And then he explained the endgame better than me. And even though he had a slightly worse position, well, it's just equal really, he played better with a pawn break coming up. Rook to c8, b6, defend the knight. That's actually a pointless move looking back. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. That was stupid. Knight f5, need to hit this. So he goes here, then king d7. See, he can't go c4 yet, so I might go b5, or I go knight c4, which is what he told me. If I fill the square, there's no pawn break for him. Now I can go b6. I mean, it's a really silly move going b6 previously, because it doesn't do anything. What's the point? What is the point? I think I know one reason why I went, because, well, I was afraid of that. You're not, no, here, there's nothing to be afraid of. Just go b6. Nothing to be afraid of. So that's being scared of a ghost that doesn't exist. Let's go back a few moves here. Rook c8. Okay, I need to fill the square, and then after take, take. For some reason, I missed this bishop capture, because now the king is going for c4, and that's exactly what happened. Really bad moment. I need to go rook c4 here, fill the square, and if here, b5. Then I can get a6 in, and then black's position is really good. He might go a6, so then to stop him getting a6, but now I go king d7, the rook can come in as well. So in this endgame, I really did not understand this better than him. So after take, take, knight c6, I still thought I was fine. Because after this, the capture happened, king d7, I can always go back. But the truth is, when he mentioned it to me, imagine if I got my knight on d5, the bishop actually just controls the entry squares anyway. If I turn on the engine, it's just equal. So I've misunderstood this. Now he goes a5. And for some reason, I didn't go b5, which is really silly. b5, rook c5, a6. Now I've got 2 against 1. 2 against 1. The knight can rotate to d5. And then black has a decent position. Now maybe I recorded it a little bit wrong. Maybe he's got his rook on b1 first, then a5. But I don't think that's true, because then he can't go a5. So I think I missed a chance to a5. I was actually looking forward to a capture, because now this pawn can run up the board, except that's the silly thing. In the real game, I didn't even get a chance to run up the board. So that is my problem. I played this endgame really, really badly. Rook to b8, and then rook b6. Just trying to double up. I still feel quite confident in this endgame. I think I might have a minute. He might have 1 minute 30 to 2 minutes, so his time is still up. Rook a4. I have to be careful. If I play a nothing move, I think he might be able to take. Just want to show you a tactic. Check here. And if I... Oh, no, it doesn't work. Okay. You can block. Oh, I thought you couldn't block. That was silly of me. Or if you go here, then this. You don't need to do this. But then the pawns are weak. Rook f6. I don't think white is worse here. Let's go back a few moves. So no need to allow any of this. Just go rook here, because you can't go here now, because a rook can just block. So if we go back a few moves here. Rook b8. A rook trade is offered. I was looking forward to that. Now, if this trade offers, I'm pretty sure I'm winning. Outside pass pawn, the knight can sit back on d5, the king can come in the game. However, he did not. He only traded 1 pair of rooks, which is very clever. Now I forget the rest, but I recorded the position. I remember the critical moments. Next chapter, I get to this moment where I am in trouble. He's just played g4, and I completely overlooked this. Take, take. And then I'm in big trouble. I actually ended up losing that pawn. The king should have been there, but the king actually went over here, and it didn't even use time to support the pawn. I think the bishop was actually here. So already this is a big mistake. So going back to this, if I ever get this structure again, I must wake up. I need to go g6. I'm always a bit worried when my pawns are messed up like this, because the rook can come over, but that's not true. Because I've got my pass pawn, which is more dangerous. He might go here, get the king out of the way, and now go a4. There's no d5 tactics here. There's no d5. That's the amazing thing, because I've got check. It was here. Check, and then I can take. no need to get worried about this and this, because I actually have this move, which is what I missed. That's the cool thing. You can see the blue arrow, the king actually gets back in time. So that is pretty cool. Really nice endgame variation. Endgame tactical sequence, which I totally missed. So in this kind of position, I cannot take, because I'm busted, really. I'm now have a very, very passive looking position. Next chapter should show that final moment. I did end up taking, and now I'm in big trouble. And let's just see the final moves. Let's see the final moves, where in this endgame he did outplay me. Bishop a5. You see, throughout the game I felt my knight was much stronger, but now things completely change. Looks like I'm about to lose the knight. His bishop is far superior. Check, king moves, and now I defend. I saw this sequence, but it doesn't matter, you see. It doesn't matter. I think I had 10 seconds. He had 30 seconds to 1 minute. He's totally winning, and it's enough time for a master to win this kind of position. The knight, it just comes off, check, and you see this pawn, it's not even close. See these two pawns, they're faster. I'm down 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm down 2 pawns, and this is just so slow, and I lost on time. So there we go. Those are the games against the masters. There's one more game, which I will show in another video. The reason I haven't released it yet, or I'm not going to put it in this video, is because right now we are about 27 minutes in, so it's time to stop this video. But also I'm waiting on some footage from my brother Victor, because he also played this master. I think it'd be nice in the future to create a video where I combine both games in one. So we both played him, and I filmed it on my phone, he filmed it on his phone, so that can be a future video coming up where I will go through both of our games against this master. And that was actually the last master I got to play on the day, ChessFest Trafalgar Square, 7th of July 2024. So there we have it, lots to learn. Overall, you can see my score was terrible. It started off with a win against Dianna, then a draw against Tom, and then losses against Gavin and David. So score so far, 1.5 out of 4, and then a final game to show you in a future video. So do I recommend going to ChessFest Trafalgar Square? Yes, because you get a chance to play many masters. You want to keep playing them, just get back in the queue. You're queuing for 20 minutes. Please note, lots of people want to play masters, so the queue time, I think that's okay. Waiting in line 20 minutes, you can talk to other fellow players. I was just reading a book, and I met up with my brother. So there we have it. Thank you so much. If you guys want to stick around on this channel, flashing on the screen right now will be a Caro-Kann video, just to get you going on this channel. Why am I recommending the Caro-Kann? Because as you can see in so many of these games, that's the opening I played. Not only that, you can see against Tom Rendle, I played knight f3, d4. So this kind of setup, very high level setup. It's another video will flash on your screen. It's how to play the Catalan opening. Now, when I play Tom, it's not quite the Catalan, but knight f3, d4, these kind of structures with g3, that video is a really nice video on my channel. I think it's the most viewed one yet, so that will be in the bottom left. So, which video will you pick? The one in the top left about the Caro-Kann, or the one in the bottom left about the Catalan? Which one will you pick, 1 or 2?